Have you ever felt a chill run down your spine when you hear the word vampire? That sudden, inexplicable shiver that makes you glance over your shoulder, wondering if something is lurking in the shadows? It's a name whispered in darkness, a creature of shadow and blood, a being that thrives in the night, feeding on the lifeblood of the living, leaving behind a trail of fear and mystery. For centuries, stories of these immortal beings have haunted our nights and filled our dreams with fear. From the ancient manuscripts of Eastern Europe to the folklore of countless cultures, vampires have been a part of our collective consciousness. But where did these stories come from? What is the origin of the vampire myth? Is it rooted in historical events, or is it purely a creation of our darkest imaginations? Are vampires real, or are they just figments of our imagination? Could there be a grain of truth in the legends that have been passed down through generations? The truth, as with most legends, is shrouded in mystery. The line between reality and myth is often blurred, leaving us to wonder what is real and what is fantasy. Join me as we journey into the heart of vampire lore, exploring their dark origins and the myths that have kept us enthralled for generations. We will delve into the stories that have shaped our understanding of these enigmatic creatures. Prepare yourself, for the world of vampires is a place of both terror and allure. It is a realm where the line between the living and the dead is thin, and where the night holds secrets that are both fascinating and frightening. We will uncover the secrets that lie hidden within the coffin and discover why vampires continue to fascinate us, even today. From their ancient origins to their modern-day representations, the allure of the vampire remains as strong as ever. So, are you ready to step into the shadows and uncover the truth? Behind the whispers in the dark, the belief in vampires is older than written history. Ancient cultures around the world feared creatures that preyed on the living, draining them of their life force. These beings often rose from the grave, hungry for the blood of their victims. In ancient Mesopotamia, stories circulated of the Akaru, demonic spirits that haunted cemeteries, feeding on the blood of the living. The Egyptians feared the night walkers, restless spirits that returned from the dead to torment the living. These early tales reflect a deep-seated human fear of death and the unknown. The concept of the undead, of something coming back from the grave, has always been a source of both terror and fascination. As stories spread and cultures interacted, the vampire myth evolved, taking on new characteristics and forms with each retelling. These tales were passed down through generations, often changing to reflect the fears and beliefs of the time. Each region developed its own unique interpretation of these bloodthirsty creatures. From the elegant and aristocratic vampires of Western Europe to the monstrous and grotesque beings of other regions, the vampire mythos is as diverse as the cultures that created them. In Eastern Europe, tales of the Strigoi, vengeful spirits that rose from the grave to prey on their families, sent shivers down the spines of villagers. These creatures were often blamed for unexplained deaths and misfortunes, leading to various rituals to protect the living from their wrath. Asian folklore tells of the Jiangshi, hopping vampires dressed in burial robes, their arms outstretched as they hopped from village to village, searching for victims. These creatures were believed to be reanimated corpses, brought back to life through dark magic or improper burial practices. In South America, the Luguru, a shape-shifting witch, could transform into a bat-like creature and drain the blood of unsuspecting victims. This legend often served as a cautionary tale, warning people to be wary of those who might harbor dark secrets and malevolent powers. From the icy plains of Russia to the humid jungles of South America, vampire myths took root and flourished, each culture adding its own unique flavor to the legend. These stories not only entertained but also reflected the values, fears, and beliefs of the societies that told them, creating a rich tapestry of vampire lore that continues to captivate us today. Despite their diverse origins, vampires across cultures share some common characteristics. The most prominent, of course, is their insatiable thirst for blood. This thirst drives them to prey on the living, draining their victims of their life force. Vampires are often depicted as being pale and gaunt, with sharp fangs and glowing eyes. They possess superhuman strength and speed, making them formidable opponents. They are also often associated with darkness, casting no reflection and shunning sunlight. However, these creatures of darkness are not invincible. They have weaknesses that can be exploited. Garlic, holy symbols, and sunlight are said to repel them. A stake through the heart is often the only way to ensure their destruction. From folklore to fiction, the birth of the modern vampire. The 18th century saw a surge of interest in vampires in Europe. This period was marked by widespread fear and fascination with the supernatural, particularly the undead. Reports of vampire attacks and exhumations of suspected vampires became increasingly common. Villagers would often dig up graves to stake the corpses they believed were rising from the dead, to feed on the living. This fascination found its way into literature, paving the way for the modern vampire. Writers began to explore these eerie tales, transforming oral folklore into written stories that captivated readers. John Polidori's The Vampire, from 1819, is often credited as the first modern vampire story. This novella set the stage for future vampire literature by introducing new elements to the vampire mythos. It introduced Lord Ruthven, a Byronic hero who embodied the aristocratic and seductive nature of the modern vampire. Ruthven was not just a bloodthirsty monster. He was a complex character with charm and allure. This literary shift from monstrous fiend to captivating antihero marked a turning point in vampire lore. Vampires began to be portrayed as tragic figures, cursed with immortality and a thirst for blood. The vampire began to evolve from a creature of pure terror into a more complex and nuanced figure. This evolution allowed for deeper storytelling, exploring themes of immortality, morality, and the human condition. Bram Stoker's legacy, Dracula and the Victorian era. In 1897, Bram Stoker unleashed his masterpiece, Dracula, upon the world. This gothic horror novel cemented the vampire's place in popular culture and defined the modern vampire archetype. Count Dracula, with his hypnotic gaze, aristocratic charm, and insatiable thirst for blood, became the quintessential vampire. Stoker's novel explored themes of sexuality, immortality, and the clash between modernity and the ancient. Dracula was an instant success, captivating readers with its chilling atmosphere and suspenseful plot. It spawned countless adaptations, inspiring films, television shows, and books for over a century. The 20th century saw vampires take over the silver screen. From the silent era to the golden age of Hollywood, vampire films captivated audiences with their blend of horror, romance, and the supernatural. Classic films like Nosferatu in 1922, Dracula in 1931, An Interview with the Vampire in 1994 brought these creatures of the night to life, showcasing their seductive power and chilling presence. As filmmaking techniques advanced, so too did the portrayal of vampires. Special effects, makeup, and CGI allowed filmmakers to create increasingly realistic and terrifying depictions of these creatures. In recent years, vampire fiction has taken a decidedly romantic turn. Young adult novels and television shows like The Vampire Diaries and Twilight have reimagined vampires as brooding, Byronic heroes, torn between their thirst for blood and their love for mortals. These stories explore themes of forbidden love. They have introduced vampires to a new generation of readers and viewers, further cementing their place in popular culture, redemption, and the challenges of immortality. From ancient folklore to modern fiction, vampires have captivated our imaginations for centuries. What is it about these creatures of the night that continues to fascinate and frighten us? Perhaps it's their immortality, their ability to live outside the constraints of time and death. Maybe it's their seductive power, their ability to lure us into the darkness with their charm and allure. Or perhaps it's the reflection they offer of our own deepest fears and desires, the fear of mortality, the allure of power, the struggle between our light and shadow selves. The line between myth and reality can be blurry. While there is no scientific evidence to support the existence of vampires as we know them from legend, the enduring belief in these creatures suggests that there may be more to the story. Perhaps, at the heart of the vampire myth lies a kernel of truth, a fear of the unknown, a fascination with the dark side of human nature, a recognition of the power that blood holds over life and death. Whatever the truth may be, one thing is certain: the vampire myth continues to enthrall us, reminding us that even in the brightest of lights, darkness always lurks nearby, waiting to sink its teeth into our imaginations.
Don't forget to subscribe. Thank you for watching and hit that like.